From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fairbanks Evening News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Our top story this evening, a Delta Junction woman facing 14 felony counts of sex abuse of a minor has reached a plea agreement with state prosecutors. Diana Jensen, who originally pleaded not guilty to more than a dozen counts of felony sex abuse in October of 2013, today pleaded guilty to one count of conspiracy to commit sex abuse. That's a Class A felony. In exchange for today's plea, the state will drop the previous charges, 12 of which were unclassified felonies. Jensen is currently out on bail and was not remanded this afternoon. Sentencing on the conspiracy charge is set for January 9th. Jensen was charged along with her husband Daniel Jensen for abuse that allegedly took place between 2002 and 2003 in both Delta and Anchorage. According to charging documents, the abuse started when the 12-year-old victim was invited over to model prom dresses, which Daniel Jensen said he was going to sell online. The victim claims the alleged abuse eventually escalated to rape. The North Pole City Council, at its first regular meeting of the new year, will vote on a resolution to rescind its December 15th distribution of bed tax grant funds. The original resolution to distribute over $41,000 in bed tax revenue was developed in accordance with city code. However, the council voted 5-2 to pass an amended version of the resolution, dividing the funds equally among 4 groups. According to city code, the council must adhere to a scoring system to determine bed tax distributions and is not allowed to distribute the funds at its discretion. Councilwoman Sharon Hunter, prior to voting against the amendment, warned the council that the resolution was in violation of city code.
And I think we're getting ourselves into a lot of trouble by going against our own ordinance. Our ordinance says that we go through that process that we did and we award it based on, I mean, it's spelled out how the people get the money.
The council will vote on the new resolution this coming Monday. The proper scoring system was used to divide the funds among 4 groups, with North Pole Christmas and Ice receiving the largest slice of the pie at just over $19,000. A state judge has temporarily blocked the termination of one of 3 Alaska National Guard officers fired in October by then-Governor Sean Parnell. Brigadier General Catherine Jorgensen sued this week to keep her job. Anchorage Superior Court Judge Andrew Guidi issued a temporary order Wednesday, barring the state from carrying out the dismissal. Jorgensen alleges Parnell fired her without cause in what she called a, quote, political Hail Mary, end quote, to save himself. Parnell ran an unsuccessful bid for re-election, during which a scathing report into allegations of sexual assault and other misconduct within the Guard was released. Another hearing on the matter is expected as early as mid-January. Well, the project to truck natural gas to the interior has run into major problems. MWH, the private contractor on the project, said the company is ceasing work on a natural gas processing facility on the North Slope. The action came after MWH and the state could not reach an agreement on extending the project. The estimated cost of the plant continued to grow, rising from the first figure of $185 million to the current $228 million. Officials with ADA say they are looking at other options to get the project back on track.
First of all, MWH is not necessarily withdrawing from the Interior Energy Project, and work by no means is stopping. We, ADA, we are continuing to review the MWH actions, of course. We remain committed to working with the community and the utilities on bringing lower cost energy and cleaner air to interior Alaska.
All right, when we come back, several agencies are addressing the interior's air quality problems as the new year begins. Also, Fairbanks Flavor returns with a unique pizza recipe. Those stories are next. Stay with us. And welcome back. Looking at the holiday patrols, between 11 p.m. New Year's Eve and yesterday evening, Alaska State Troopers made 5 drunk driving arrests in the Fairbanks area, but charges against one were dropped. 38-year-old Birch Martin was arrested at Fairbanks and Geist. At 2:20 yesterday morning, a car was reported in the ditch near Bonanza Trail. 22-year-old Elijah Graham was contacted there. It was not Graham's vehicle in the ditch. He had stopped to see if anyone needed help. Graham was originally taken into custody, but the district attorney's office declined to file any charges against him. Now in Fox, a woman was arrested for assault and a 72-year-old man was charged with driving while intoxicated. 24-year-old Kylish KC was arrested on charges of DUI after being stopped in Fairbanks. And in North Pole, 60-year-old Diana Childs was arrested and booked at the Fairbanks Correctional Center on charges of drunk driving. Family members of a Wisconsin man who planned a sightseeing trip across Alaska have reported him missing after not hearing from him since August. 72-year-old Roger Yeager arrived in Alaska over the summer, according to his brother Dale Yeager. As an avid birder and fan of the outdoors, Yeager's plan was to make several stops throughout the state over the next few months. On August 8th, he visited his nephew David, who lives in Wasilla, and told him he was going to head back to Fairbanks. Roger told family was that he would be gone for a few months, but should be home around Christmas time. The case is the latest of several high-profile missing person occurrences in 2014. In May, a Kenai family of 4 disappeared. Brandon Jividin, his girlfriend Rebecca Adams, and her 2 young daughters, Jiraka and Michelle Hundley, all vanished along with the family's dog. In August, 71-year-old Jerry Warner disappeared near Willow Creek, where he was last seen fishing. And a couple of months later, a young Anchorage mother, 20-year-old Jael Hamblin, vanished as well. The city of North Pole has kicked off the fundraising effort for the Trooper Gabriel Rich and Trooper Scott Johnson Memorial Park. It calls on any individuals, business, or companies interested in contributing money, services, or materials to get involved. The city dedicated the Memorial Park on November 11, 2014, with the plan to break ground in the spring of 2015. The park will be a place for citizens of the Fairbanks North Star Borough to remember all public servants, not just police officers, who have paid the ultimate price in service to their community. The city's first priority is recruiting volunteers willing to contribute labor, skills, and materials for site preparation and construction of the Memorial Park. The State Department of Environmental Conservation has submitted a proposed plan to the Federal Environmental Protection Agency outlining how the state plans to deal with air pollution. The deadline for the plan to be issued was the end of 2014. The EPA requires states to submit documents showing how they intend to meet standards under the Federal Clean Air Act. The DEC held several public hearings on the matter to get input for the content of the report. Alice Edwards with the DEC says the new rules are simplified but more stringent.
Fairbanks and North Pole still have a ways to go in meeting the federal air quality standards for fine particulate matter, or what we call PM 2.5. We are seeing some improvements in certain parts of the area, but we still have hot spots in other areas where air pollution levels can still be fairly high during the winter months. So we're continuing to work on that and hope to bring those levels down here over the next few years.
The Greater Fairbanks Chamber of Commerce will hold its largest advocacy event of the year next month. Members will fly to Juneau to meet with state legislators and staff, as well as members of the administration. The 2015 Juneau Fly-In takes place February 3rd through the 5th. Members are encouraged to fly to Juneau with the Chamber's Board of Directors and Government Relations Committee and staff as they promote and advocate for the Chamber's 2015 legislative priorities. For more information about the Fly-In, you can go online to fairbankschamber.org. And now for this week's edition of Fairbanks Flavor, Lisa Gambardella has a pizza recipe which can complement a glass of champagne.
Hey, it's Flory.
And Lisa Gambardella. Welcome to Fairbanks Flavor. Today we're making a delicious pizza that goes great with bubblies. Start stretching the dough.
That's what I do best. Not really.
Look at that, it's perfect. You open the bubbly, I'll build the pizza. So we're gonna start with some ricotta cheese, some sauteed mushrooms, and the star of the show is our smoked oysters. Oh, you're gonna love this. I even drizzle the oil on there, give it lots of flavor, some cheese to melt on top. It smells so good. Fantastic, we have a beautiful smoked oyster pizza. See our recipes at webcenter11.com.
Brought to you by Gambardella's Pasta Bella.
Slice of pizza pie, glass of champagne. Oh yeah, doesn't it look good, Joe?
So
you're gonna take a piece right now? Yeah, you're gonna have at it.
All right.
That looks great.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it smells wonderful too.
Yeah.
Oh man, and I just started my New Year's diet too, so I don't know. How is it? You got to taste it for me. What is it?
That's good.
It's great.
Well,
Fantastic.
you might have to take over that.
Okay, you
I do
eat
that.
while I do the sports teas. In sports, the UAF basketball teams brought in 2015 on a winning note. You'll see how they did it, plus get a look at the weekend ahead. Those and more with Pizza Boy after the break.
Hello, Interior Sports fans. I'm Joe Cook. It's 2015 and time to start the new year off right with your local sports. We start with the New Year's Day doubleheader at the Patty Center. Thursday was the GNAC home openers for the UAF men's and women's basketball teams. In the first game, the women hosted the Central Washington Wildcats. The first half was close throughout. Jasmine Edwards got Central going, leading the Wildcats with 13 points and 4 steals. They shot 15 free throw attempts to UAF's solo attempt in the first half. Central took a slight 28-27 edge into the break. The second half was all Alaska. Down 37-38, Benisa Belaya's steal and layup started a 9-0 run, and Alaska was up 46-38 with 10:26 remaining. They would not surrender the lead after that run. Belaya finished with 11 points, 9 points in the second half, while Stephanie Thompson was the consistent force in the paint for UAF. Thompson finished with a game-high 18 points and 10 rebounds on 6 of 7 shooting as Alaska wins their first GNAC game 66-57 over Central on New Year's Day. They improved to 9-4 on the year, matching their win total from last year.
You know, a GNAC win any night of the week is really important, especially knowing where we've taken the program from 5 years ago when I got here to now. But this is a big deal. Teams know they got to fight us to come in. They don't get to walk all over us and know they come to Fairbanks and get a win. And we've really made a change, and these ladies attribute to that. And hopefully, you know, as the season progresses, we earn our way to postseason.
The men's team went up against the Western Washington Vikings. The Natick split with the Vikings in the regular season meetings the last 2 years. There were classic games that went down to the wire. On New Year's Day, it was the same. This game was back and forth. Neither team gained a sizable lead. Western led 33-32 at the break. Jamon Eccles and UAF's Ashton Edwards had a guard duel. Eccles led the Vikings with 20 points, but Edwards would get the upper hand. Edwards dropped a 30-piece on the Vikings for a game-high and new career-high 30 points. The Natick forced 13 turnovers, but only had 6 miscues. Eric Fongay had two critical steals down the stretch to go with 9 points and 5 boards for the Nooks. Also hit some clutch free throws as well. UAF closed out well, going on an 8-2 run to finish the game and went 11-13 from the free throw line, while the Vikings were 10 for 22. Alaska gets the 64-60 victory on New Year's and their first GNAC win of the season. The last time the men's and women's teams swept GNAC opponents was January 2nd, 2014.
Coach, he recruited me as a scorer, so I make sure my team's involved, but when I see openings and I know things I've worked on, I do my best to try to take advantage of that to help the team. So it worked out tonight.
We had some guys that, you know, it meant a little bit too with this team. And, you know, we're just able to defend them here. I think that's the biggest thing, and get them out of transition. I mean, this is a team averaging 88 points a game. And other than the first 8 minutes, I thought, you know, the tempo was kind of our style.
And the Ice Dogs played Game 2 of their series against the Johnstown Tomahawks on New Year's Eve in Johnstown, PA. The Tomahawks prevented the sweep with a 3-1 win. Kevin Aldridge made his 2015 debut in his return to the Ice Dogs. He had a shutout in the opening period, but Luke Lynch scored for Johnstown in the second period. Aldridge finished with 28 saves. Ethan Somoza scored the lone goal and equalizer at the 11:37 mark of the final period, but Trevor Recklinald scored the game winner for Johnstown just 25 seconds after Somoza's tally. The Tomahawks added an empty netter for the final margin. The Ice Dogs have a short week because they are in action tonight for a series against the Keystone Ice Miners in Connersville, Pennsylvania. And on New Year's Eve in Kona, Hawaii, the Hutchinson Hawks teams returned from the World Youth Basketball Tournament with some hardware. The Hutch boys won a nail-biter over New Zealand, 68-66 in the B Bracket Championship game. Hutch came back from a 24-point deficit. They were down by 10 at the half, and they rallied late to win it in the fourth quarter. Senior Michael Benson, he went off for 33 points to lead the Hawks. Xavier Udebe added a double-double with 14 and 12. The girls team, they also won their B bracket, finishing 3-2. College sports will be the headline for the first weekend of local sports events in 2015. Saturday at 1 o'clock is the start of another GNAC basketball doubleheader at the Patty Center. The women's team plays Northwest Nazarene, and the men's team, they will follow at 3:15 as they host the Clan of Simon Fraser. In the nightcap, catch the Nanack hockey team at the Carlson Center for Game 2 of their first WCHA series of 2015 against the Ferris State Bulldogs. Puck drop is at 7:07 at the Carlson Center. And that'll do it for sports at 6, but come back tonight for the sports nightcap for Nanack hockey highlights. Mike Schultz is next with your full weather forecast, and we'll catch you next time.
Hello, everyone. Hope you had a happy new year. Mike Schultz back with you once again on the Fairbanks Evening News for your weather. Mother Nature says 2014's over with. Let's start 2015 the way we normally do, with very cold temperatures, and that's the way it's going to be into the weekend, but nothing severe, but temperatures definitely we haven't seen for a while, that's for sure. Today's photograph sent in by Cynthia Walker, another great sunrise, as you can see here, beautiful shot. And as always, if you have a photograph to share, by all means send it to photos@ktvf11.com, and we'll share it with the rest of the audience. Your almanac looks like this, 4 below, that's our high for the day, and the current temperature, the low last night, 13 below. Record high 41 in 2011, but look at 1969, it could get down to 61 degrees below zero, so we should be very happy that we are looking at only 4 degrees below zero. The sunrise and sunset about 4 hours and 9 minutes. That's a gain of 4 minutes from yesterday. And the barometer, quite high, 30.51. That indicates why we're getting clear skies. And you can see on the satellite and radar, nothing going on across the interior, just some very high clouds to the south along the Alaska Range. And any kind of storms are being kept off by that high pressure area, and it shows up on the rest of the satellite, or actually the rest of the map, I should say here. As you can see, cool temperatures around Juneau, 23 degrees there. Some rain and snow shower activity at Ketchikan, just mainly partly cloudy to clear skies across the south sections of the state. And if you go heading out to the west, it's cooling down. Bethel at 13 degrees, 18 degrees at Nome, and Barrow at 7 degrees below zero, but 29 degrees below at Fort Yukon as the cold air has really moved in there. What's going on across the rest of the lower 48? Well, things are pretty good actually. We have just partly cloudy skies over the northwest. Nice weather up and down the west coast. It's warmed up considerably for Denver. They were 0 last week, as you can, or actually a few days ago. And as you can see, rain falling once again across parts of Texas, while thunderstorms are rumbling over the deep south. And that shows up pretty good here. Over the northeast, looks like a little snow for the very northeastern sections. On the satellite and radar, you can see why the storms are rumbling across parts of the southern sections of the country. And once again, freezing precipitation, a big problem around Amarillo and places like Santa Fe, New Mexico, and a new system trying to move onshore in the Pacific Northwest. Now, the overall picture is calling for, once again, tomorrow, some real cold temperatures across the northern plains. Snow across the Great Lakes and a soaking rain over the deep south. The jet stream will be moving once again to the north, which means warmer temperatures and drier conditions across a large portion of the country. Well, back to Alaska for tomorrow. Nothing really bold or exciting to talk about. Mainly clear skies for Barrow, freezing drizzle and flurries for Nome, and clear and colder for Fort Yukon. Here in the interior, we'll be looking at, for the most part, mostly clear skies for Fairbanks, decreasing clouds with some winds in the Healy area, and decreasing clouds for Delta Junction. Over the southeastern sections, windy in Juneau and snow showers at Ketchikan. While over to the southwest, we're looking at partly cloudy skies at Cold Bay, sunny at Bethel, and snow showers for Kodiak, and if heading on down around the Anchorage area. Mainly becoming mostly sunny in Anchorage and windy conditions at Valdez, but mostly sunny skies also in the Homer region. All right, once again, time for our kids' weather, and we're talking once again about a weather fact in 1910. A flood washed out 100 miles of rail between Los Angeles and Salt Lake City, and you can imagine the trouble that caused, about $7 million worth of damage back in 1910. That's a lot of money. All right, Mount McKinley Bank, thank you as always for sponsoring our kids' weather, and the kids are on vacation until the 6th of January next week. They'll be returning with the kids from Pearl Creek Elementary School joining us for kids' weather. Here's your forecast for the remainder of the night. 21 below with clear skies and much colder except in the hills. So a little inversion going on as we always do. And over the forecast for tomorrow, 5 below for the daytime high with lots of sunshine and cold temperatures. But the good news is the cold will be moving out slowly but surely. As you can see, looking back into the positive numbers by Thursday. Overnight lows also slowly warming up, but until then, we're going to chill down quite a bit. 20 below tomorrow night and 10 below on Monday night. Or actually, 20 below it's Sunday night and 10 below on Monday night.
Okay, preparing for a cold one, Mike. Thank you. That'll wrap up this edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. We're glad you could join us.
Tonight on NBC Nightly News, Syrian refugee children find hope and laughter in a new school. That's next with Brian Williams.
And don't forget to check out the Interior's only newscast tomorrow at 6 and 11.
From all of us here at the News Center, have a great night.
Night.